Hello and welcome to this tutorial. In this one I would like to go through the AWS console and to just get familiar with the console and talk a little bit about the services that we have in the AWS and we can use them. So I'm typing AWS console in the Google search, and this is the URL, which is the https://aws.amazon.com/console. Just click on this one and there's a sign into console somewhere in the web page, so doesn't matter which one, you can select it, and then you need to log in with your account, which you already know how you can create your account now. So my company name is ITrepo and my username is Masoud, and I'm putting my password and I'm trying to log into the system. So inside the AWS console we have the AWS services. I would like to just give you some information about these services that we are seeing here. So this is the recently visited services. I'm going to hide that one. But all services that you're seeing here, they are in categories like compute, like storage, like database migration, networking, content delivery, management tools, media services, machine learning, analytics, mobile services, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of stuff here like developer tools, security, identity, compliance, and desktop app streaming. There are a lot of categories. So I start from top. Even some of them, honestly, I don't know what they're doing. I'll go through the most important ones and the one that is necessary for a system administrator or network administrator to be able to go through a job interview or to start for working on the cloud solutions and in the cloud environments. So in the compute part, the first thing that we are having is EC2, and I just hover my mouse on the name of the service, so you should be able to see a little bit information about the service. And EC2 is technically a virtual machine that you can run inside the cloud. It's for elastic compute cloud, or technically it's just a virtual machine inside the cloud that you can use it. If you're familiar with the Vmware or Hyper-V or other hypervisors like KVM, for example, it's just a virtual machine and you need to configure everything related to the virtual machine in order to make it up and running inside the cloud. So we'll talk about this one. This is one of the important part of the AWS services. Another one is Lightsail, which this one is simply having a virtual private servers inside the AWS. If you don't have the expertise to work with the EC2 instances, if it's difficult for you, so Lightsail, it's one of the popular one. It's really easy to work. If I click on this one, you can just select, okay, I want to have an instance. It's very basic for non-expert users. You choose your operating system, your platform like Linux or Unix or Microsoft Windows, and then you can say, okay, I want to have just the OS, which is Windows 2016 right now, or Windows 2012 R2, or I want to have application and OS, so you can select between them. So in Microsoft we don't have that much option right now, but if you go back to Linux and Unix, so just OS only, we have multiple OSs here. And if you click on App plus OS, you can see that we have multiple applications here, and one of the most familiar one or well-known one is WordPress. So you can just click and select what kind of schedule you want and just click on create, and it will create for you easily. So there's no need to have special knowledge related to the EC2, for example. If I go back to the last page, EC2 one, this is for, I would say, users that they don't have that much expertise, so it's not that much advanced. Another one is the Elastic Container Services, which is if you want to run Docker or containers on AWS, this is the way that you can go. If you're not familiar with Docker or containers, don't worry about it. You will learn it definitely soon, because this is also one of the buzzwords nowadays in the IT world. But if you want to work with Docker inside the AWS, this is the place that you can start working. Another one is the Kubernetes. If you would like to work with the Kubernetes on AWS, EKS is the one in compute part. Lambda is if you want to just run codes and you don't want to think about servers. Let's say you have a code and you want to run it somewhere in the cloud and you don't want to have any virtual machine to manage, and this is the right place. to start. Another one is batch. If you have multiple batches to run, this is the place that you can start. And the last one is Elastic Beanstalk. Simply, if you want to run and manage web applications inside the cloud, this is the place that you can start. The most important part in the compute for us as a network and system administrator is EC2 instance. In another category, we have storage, and the first one is S3. Which is technically a storage that you can use it for storing your files inside the AWS. And if I click on this one, you will see that the first thing you need to start inside the S3 storage is something called bucket. So you can have multiple buckets inside the S3 with different permissions and different configurations, different location of the void, and then you can start storing your data in them, and even you can run a simple web server from it. Another one is EFS, which is a kind of NFS protocol for having shared storage between multiple virtual machines, and we can use this one easily. I'll show you how we can use it. A Glacier is a cheap storage for archiving purposes, and the last one is storage gateway, which if you want to have a hybrid situation that you have your data center on-prem and then you want to move to cloud, then you can leverage a storage gateway to move your data to the cloud. Another part is database, which it is starting with the RDS. And RDS is Relational Database Services, and I think you're familiar with the relational one, which is mostly the SQL Server, Oracle, and other relational one. If I click on Launch Database Instances, for example, here you can see that we have Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, PostgreSQL, MariaDB, MySQL, and one of the relational database services called Aura, which is from the AWS itself. So we'll talk about these ones later, but this is just running a database in the cloud easily, pretty fast. So if I go back to the first page, another one is Dynamodb, which Dynamodb is NoSQL database. If you are a database person, I'm sure that you're familiar with the terms NoSQL. Another part is Elastic Cache, which is pretty fast in-memory database, which is really fast for huge transactions. This is pretty new. It's Neptune, which is a graph database built for the cloud. And the last part is the Redshift, which is for data warehousing. So if you are in retail, this could be a good solution for your business. Another part is migration. And mostly this part is related to a situation that you want to move your data, your virtual machines, your databases from on-prem to the cloud, which it provides different solutions from a situation that you can install a virtual appliance on-prem and then start migrating your data or your machines to the cloud, to a situation that they send you something like a suitcase and you can save your data and send it to the AWS. Another part is networking content delivery, which is starting with VPC, and VPC is one of the important and complicated situation in the AWS, which as you can see says isolated cloud resources. VPC is like a virtual private cloud or virtual data center inside the AWS. It's a isolated environment that you can run your servers, your network devices, and whatever you want you can do inside your VPC. So it's like a small virtual data center inside your AWS. Another one is Cloudfront, and Cloudfront is for the content delivery, and you can have like cache servers in different part of the world in order to have better browsing on your web servers and your servers. Route 53 is just a DNS server inside the AWS. And there's an API gateway which you can use it as managing APIs through the AWS. And another one is Direct Connect, which is technically having a dedicated link, like a, let's say, fiber channel or a dedicated link to the AWS for if you want to have a very good bandwidth to the AWS. So there are a bunch of developer tools here. I'm not going through them because it won't be necessary for our purposes. Another one in the management tools, Cloudwatch. We'll talk a little bit about Cloudwatch, which is kind of monitoring tool in order to be able to manage our resources. Another part, if I go down here, you won't really use these parts in the administration tasks and jobs. Here in the security and identity compliance, IAM is the part that we will go through it. This is pretty important, and this is one of the things that we start at the very beginning. And technically, this is just the access management, creating users, creating groups, who can access to what, and assigning policies and permissions to different people. So I'll talk about this one, and you saw it a little bit in previous sessions, and you're able to work with it a little bit for creating your users, but I'll go through it in details and talk more about it. And there are a bunch of other stuff like AWS single sign-on in order to log in from, let's say if you have a federation and if you want to have a single sign-on, you can use this one. So technically this part is for access control and security. Other stuff that you can see here is also could be useful, like IoT, and this part, for example, is desktop and app streaming. And you can have workspaces like a virtual machine for your clients, like desktop clients inside the cloud, and they can use it. Another part here we have for managing your email addresses. This is like an Office package from like Microsoft Office for managing documents, emails, and having video conferencing for your meetings. And there are other services that we don't use them in this course. So this is mostly, the part that we will focus is this part: compute, storage, and network and content delivery mostly. And then we'll go to the this part is also important for us. So I'm going to start with the access management, identity and access management, and then we'll go through the EC2 instances and start working with them. Inside EC2 instances, we have security groups, we have load balancers, and some other stuff that they're really, really useful. Okay, this is it, and I will see you in the next lecture.